Among all the names associated with the spiritual realm, few carry as much mystery as Metatron. For some, he is the Prince of the Presence, the angel who sits beside the divine throne. For others, he is the heavenly scribe who records the destiny of all humanity in the Book of Life. His origin is shrouded in secrecy. In the canonical scriptures, the name Metatron does not appear. Instead, he emerges in apocryphal texts, in ancient Jewish writings, and in mystical traditions where he is described as the most powerful of the angels, greater even than the archangels. Some traditions claim that he was once Enoch, the man who walked with God and was taken up into heaven, transformed into a celestial being with unique authority. Others see him as a special creation, placed to govern legions and remain in the direct presence of the Creator. But ultimately, who is Metatron really? And why has his identity been hidden from most traditions? Today we will dive into this spiritual enigma and uncover the mystery of Metatron, the most powerful angel of all. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can keep up with all our upcoming stories. Throughout history, few figures have stirred as much curiosity as Metatron. Unlike Michael, Gabriel, or Raphael, his name does not appear in the canonical scriptures, but emerges in later traditions such as Jewish apocryphal texts, the Talmud, the Midrash, and mystical works like the Sefer Hekalot and the Zohar. In these writings, Metatron is described as the highest of the angels, the one who stands before the throne of God, called the Prince of the Presence. This absence in the official Bible did not diminish his impact. On the contrary, it made him an enigma. For some rabbis and scholars, Metatron not only serves God, but also governs celestial legions, records divine decrees, and guards the secrets of eternity. His role as the heavenly scribe places him as the one responsible for writing down the destiny of humanity, giving him an aura of power and mystery that surpasses even the best-known archangels. This mystery turned Metatron into a controversial and fascinating figure. For some, a reflection of divine glory; for others, a dangerous representation of how mysticism could push beyond the boundaries of orthodoxy. In any case, his story invites us to explore not only who he was, but also what his role reveals about how the ancients understood heaven, the angels, and God's plan. 1. The first references to Metatron in Jewish writings. The earliest records about Metatron appear in post-biblical Jewish texts, especially in the Talmud and the Midrash. In these writings, he is described as a celestial figure of the highest authority, a being who holds a special place before God and performs unique functions in the governance of the universe. He is called the Prince of the Presence, a title that places him among the beings closest to the divine throne. One of the oldest texts to mention him is the Sefer Hekalot, Book of the Palaces, also known as 3 Enoch. There, Metatron is described with unusual splendor, clothed in light and surrounded by angelic legions that obey him. His power is such that the other angels tremble before his presence, recognizing in him an authority that comes directly from the Creator. In the Talmud, there are passages that speak of his role as the heavenly scribe, tasked with recording the deeds of men and writing divine decrees in the Book of Life. This role gives him a position that combines power and responsibility, for he not only witnesses but also actively participates in the spiritual order established by God. These first mentions already place Metatron in a distinct category from the better-known angels, such as Michael and Gabriel. While they appear in the Bible fulfilling specific missions, Metatron emerges in rabbinic writings as a permanent being, established beside the throne, almost like an administrator of heaven. Thus, from the very beginning, Metatron was not portrayed as just another messenger, but as a mysterious and exalted being, whose role pointed to something much greater, the connection between the divine throne and the history of humanity. 2. Metatron as Enoch transformed into an angel. One of the most fascinating traditions about Metatron claims that he was, in fact, Enoch, the patriarch mentioned in the Book of Genesis. The Bible says, "Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, because God took him." Genesis 5:24. This short but enigmatic verse opened the way for countless interpretations throughout the centuries. In later Jewish writings, especially in the Book of Enoch and in 3 Enoch, this idea is expanded. There it is said that Enoch was taken up into heaven and transformed into a celestial being of incomparable power, receiving both the name and the role of Metatron. This transformation represented the reward for his righteous life and the closeness he maintained with the Creator. According to this tradition, Metatron not only ascended to heaven, but was clothed in divine light, crowned with glory, and established as the highest among the angels. He became the heavenly scribe, responsible for recording the deeds of mankind and guarding the secrets of the universe. His role, therefore, was not merely one of contemplation, but of active participation in the spiritual governance of all creation. This narrative conveys a powerful message, the idea that a human being, through grace and intimacy with God, could be transformed into a celestial creature, occupying a unique position before the divine throne. For many Jews and mystics, this symbolized humanity's hope of being elevated into God's presence and sharing in His glory. Thus, in the view of part of the Jewish tradition, Metatron is not merely a mysterious angel, but living proof that humanity itself can be transfigured by holiness, becoming a reflection of eternal glory. 3 Prince of the Presence and his celestial role. In rabbinic and mystical writings, Metatron is called Sar HaPanim, which means Prince of the Presence or Angel of the Face. This title indicates that he stands continually before God, something not granted even to all angels. He is seen as the one who represents the divine presence before the heavenly hosts, transmitting commands and revelations directly from the Creator. This role is similar to that of a prime minister in an earthly kingdom. The king rules, but the minister administers, speaks on his behalf, and ensures that his will is carried out. In the same way, Metatron is portrayed as the heavenly administrator, the one who organizes the angelic hosts and ensures that divine decrees are executed. His position is so exalted that some writings describe him as seated on a throne beside God himself, an unimaginable honor for most angels. The title Angel of the Face also carries profound symbolism. In the Bible, the face of God represents His glory and holiness. To be called the Angel of the Face means to be directly enveloped in that splendor, reflecting the Creator's light and majesty to all others. It is as though Metatron were a mirror of divine power in the spiritual world, a channel between God and all creation. This closeness, however, sparked debates and even controversy. Some rabbis warned that such great honor could lead people to confuse Metatron with God himself. For this reason, his figure remained shrouded in mystery and treated with caution, revealed only in more restricted or esoteric writings. 4. Metatron and the Book of Life. Among the most striking functions attributed to Metatron is that of celestial scribe. In Jewish and mystical writings, he is described as the one responsible for recording in the Book of Life all the actions, thoughts, and destinies of humanity. This image places him not only as a witness of earthly events, but as the guardian of eternal memory before the Creator. The Book of Life is a concept that also appears in the Bible itself. In Exodus 32:33, Moses speaks of being blotted out of God's book. In the Psalms there are similar references, and in Revelation the names of the saved are written in it. Associating Metatron with this book means assigning him an immense spiritual task, to be the one who records divine decrees and confirms God's justice over humanity. This mission reflects the idea that no human action goes unnoticed. Metatron, as scribe, symbolizes the constant vigilance of heaven over earth. He records both acts of faith and acts of rebellion, ensuring that divine justice is never lost amid human failure. His eternal pen is like a reminder that every life is observed and every choice matters. In Jewish mysticism, Metatron's role as scribe also strengthens his image as a bridge between the human and the divine. He not only records, but also intercedes, carrying before the heavenly throne the cries and stories of humanity. For some, his writing is a way of preserving the memory of God's people, ensuring that no promise or suffering is ever forgotten. Thus, Metatron's link with the Book of Life does not present him merely as the most powerful of angels, but as the guardian of eternity, the one who preserves the pages of history and bears witness to the unfolding of the divine plan. 5. Metatron in Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. In Jewish mysticism, and especially in Kabbalah, Metatron reaches an even more exalted place. The Kabbalists describe him as the ruler of the lower heavenly spheres, the one who organizes creation and sustains the spiritual order of the universe. He appears as a mediator between God's invisible world and the visible world of men, a bridge between eternity and history. In the Zohar, one of the main works of Kabbalah, Metatron is called the Angel of the Covenant, highlighting his direct link to the preservation of the bond between God and the people of Israel. He is seen as the guardian of the divine covenant, ensuring that the promises made since the patriarchs remain alive through the generations. Another key image in Kabbalistic tradition is that of Metatron as the guardian of the tree of life, a symbol that recalls Eden and the mystery of creation itself. In this role, he is portrayed as the one who guides humanity along the path of wisdom and revelation, always pointing toward the light of the Creator. This mystical dimension made Metatron not only an angel, but also an esoteric symbol. For Kabbalists, he represented the possibility of spiritual ascent, the elevation of the soul toward the divine throne. His figure was invoked in prayers and meditations as a guide of illumination and a guardian of hidden mysteries. However, this very fascination made him controversial. Many more traditional rabbis rejected the Kabbalistic depictions of Metatron, fearing that his veneration might be mistaken for idolatry. Even so, his presence in Kabbalah perpetuated the idea that Metatron was not only the most powerful angel, but also the one closest to the divine essence, wrapped in secrets accessible only to those who sought the depths of spiritual mysteries. 6. Metatron and his authority over the angels. One of the most striking descriptions of Metatron is that he is not only near the throne of God, but also exercises authority over other angels. In mystical texts and in 3rd Enoch, he is presented as the supreme leader of the heavenly hosts, before whom even the archangels bow. His power is so immense that the other angels fear and revere him as the commander chosen by the Creator. This position makes Metatron a kind of prince of the celestial army, reminiscent of the role the Bible attributes to the archangel Michael as leader of spiritual battles. The difference, however, is that Metatron is described as even greater than Michael, assuming an administrative and spiritual authority that involves not only combat, but also the order and organization of heaven. In some accounts, Metatron is accompanied by 365,000 angels of fire, who serve him and move according to his commands. This image symbolizes not only his power, but also his role in reflecting the glory of God in countless directions, like a ray of light spreading throughout the universe. His authority is also expressed in the way he is depicted judging or instructing the angels. He is not merely a messenger between God and humanity, but also a spiritual leader in the angelic realm itself, ensuring that the heavenly hosts remain in harmony with the divine will. Thus, Metatron stands out as a being whose authority is not his own, but derived from the Creator. He represents order in heaven, the reflection of divine hierarchy, and a reminder that even angels require guidance and leadership. His presence before the throne is also a sign that all creation is governed by a structure of authority that ultimately points to the absolute rule of God. 7. Metatron in Christianity and Western tradition. Although Metatron is a figure more fully developed in Jewish mysticism, his presence also left echoes in early Christianity and in the Western tradition. In the first centuries, some Christian authors, upon coming into contact with Jewish apocryphal texts, became aware of this enigmatic figure. The association of Metatron with Enoch, transformed into an angel, resonated with biblical passages such as Hebrews 11:5, which speaks of Enoch's faith and of his translation without seeing death. However, the Church, concerned with preserving the centrality of Christ as the only mediator between God and mankind, always treated the figure of Metatron with caution. Many theologians rejected his veneration or even his deeper study, fearing that it might cause confusion and compete with the glory of Christ. Nevertheless, indirect references appear in medieval texts and even in works of Christian mysticism, where Metatron is portrayed as a symbol of angelic authority or closeness to the divine throne. In later Western tradition, especially within esotericism and mystical currents, Metatron gained prominence as one of the most powerful names in the spiritual world. He was invoked in practices of Christian Kabbalah and even appears in occult manuals of the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, always depicted as a being of supreme wisdom and guardian of divine mysteries. Over time, his image also entered popular culture. In novels, comics, films, and even games, Metatron came to be represented as the supreme angel, the scribe of heaven, or the guardian of the voice of God. These modern portrayals, although often far removed from his Jewish origins, show how fascination with this figure has crossed religious boundaries and continues to live on today. The figure of Metatron remains one of the greatest enigmas of spiritual tradition, woven between history, mysticism, and faith. In the end, Metatron reminds us that although angels may be fascinating, all power and all authority always point back to the Creator. The true mystery is not found merely in the most powerful of angels, but in the one who created them and before whom every celestial being bows, the eternal God himself. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it was, please give it a like. It really helps us reach more people. If you have any thoughts or ideas to share, we'd love to read them in the comments. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos. Thank you so much for watching, and may God bless you.